Hello, everyone. How are you? Okay. After party, are you well? After lunch? Nice to meet you. My name is Daniel Monteiro. My friends call me Danny. It's a pleasure to stay here with us. My first subject is SQL or no SQL. Because this is my blog. This is my nickname in all social medias. It's a pleasure to making touch with you. And next week maybe, I can put on my blog exclusive material about databases. And in 2012, Martin Fowler said, the future is not NoSQL, the future is polyglot persistence. 212. But sometimes the developer team thinking NoSQL as magic, because it's fast, because it is easier, but NoSQL is not magic. When I talk about relational databases, what is problem? Is slow, or do you have a problem with your process? Because if the polyglot persistence is a reality, sometimes I need the relational model. I need two tables, joins, and a fields. The future is now. A lot of companies use NoSQL because it's fast, because needs to be agile, but multiple databases and various license types, because NoSQL is not free. The team needs to think about the license, the version, the support, the compliance with laws, and other things. A lot of models, a lot of tools, and some teams, some people, and more work. This is expensive, and this is dangerous to organization. Because if you don't think about your model, about your necessity, if your DBAs is not together with the developer teams, the NoSQL use can be dangerous. It's not fast, it's dangerous. But why Fowler said polyglot persistence 7 years ago? This is polyglot persistence. Maybe, because it uses a lot of models, a lot of databases to a lot of different necessities. But it's dangerous and complicated. In the future, NoSQL, yes, is amazing, but the teams need to use in the correct moment, in correct necessity, and the subject to use a lot of databases is to deliver the best solution. Because when I talk about data science, for example, or machine learning, it's very expensive step to standardizing data, because the beginning of process is not correct. I need to deliver system very fast, but sometimes the teams forget the other steps, the data science, the machine learning, and the necessity to quality. And the future, yes, the future is a polyglot persistence, but I like to talk about responsible polyglot persistence. But what is the future? The future is less DBA and more data professionals, because more than know about what database you need, it's necessary to to understand the necessity, the application, the company, the compliance, and after that, I choose the best solution. Here, one example. When I use, ATP, ATP have a lot of models, have a lot of support models. Why I use only document store or only graphics store or only table store if I can use a lot of models? When I use Oracle database, have a graphic engine, why not use? Why the teams want to use a lot of databases if you can use only solution that have support a lot of data models? But if your team use MySQL, MySQL have a document store, it's amazing. Why use other databases if you have the document store? But when the team uses MySQL, can be necessary to make complex analysis. Oh, complex analysis, graph analysis is not supported by MySQL. Why not to use Neo4j, for example? The teams, the DBA, the data professional in the future needs to know what is the necessity, more than use one or other DBMS. The data professional now to use, when I use on-premise solution, when I use the service, what is the best solution to deliver the best, what is the best service to deliver the best solution? The objective is always deliver the best solution, and the company needs don't spend a lot of money, because the future is near, and the future have data governance, have a compliance, have services, have cloud, and have polyglot persistence too.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Danny. So Danny talked about the future of the database. And before I go to the next, discuss about the challenges, just a little bit about me. I'm an architect at the Capgemini, and I have co-authored a book on Oracle Fusion Apps Administration. Currently, I'm working on a project where we are doing a digital transformation for one of the e-commerce platform and migrating to the microservice and the serverless architecture. And what I'm going to share, some of the challenges we faced during our digital transformation journey. So one of the first challenges we had, too many options, and it's completely the first few slides we've gone through, that persistence, polyglot persistence, where you have so many options, where you have a NoSQL, RDMS, object storage, caching mechanism. All you have to select which one works for you. So our focus should be that the DBMS, we should select the DBMS which align with the business goal we are looking to achieve, and utilize that all the advantages that DBMS provides. So one of the challenges was which to go, where to go, and each service, microservice, had different. One will work with the NoSQL, one will go with RDBAs, but that's something as a team you have to think about. Second was the data consistency. Distributed computing is hard. It's not like a traditional computing. You have to align your mindset that eventual consistency is gonna be there. You have to think about where if you call one of the microservice, you might if you call the same microservice twice, you might get a different result. Eventual consistency, you have to consider it, that part when you design your transformation journey. Another thing is performance. I feel like software development has some trade-offs. So with the microservice architecture, you do get code deployment flexibility, also some operational independence. But the trade-off is you're going to pay through, there will be some performance overheads. If you say individual microservice might be less than milliseconds call, but when you have a multiple microservices, like more than 100 microservices, calling each of them or calling something would take more than a few milliseconds, and that could impact your latency. So over that, caching mechanism could help you to accelerate your performance. So one of the challenge was performance. And the fourth challenge was a vendor locking. If you think about once you move into cloud, once you select one of the cloud provider and you start having your big database in that, if you are a warehousing database or a big data, if you have 1 petabyte of data, moving from one cloud provider to another cloud provider is going to cost you egress money, and also the migration path going to be time and money going to be high. So you have to, in a cloud provider, the data is a dark secret, where you have to think about, what will be your strategy for this. A lot of clients I've seen, they are planning their strategy according to the, that they don't put all their eggs in one basket. But that also has some, you have to think through about network latency and how this is going to work it out. So that's one of the challenge. And next two are the related more of data residency and security. As you know, data residency is like each country has that. They don't want any data created or processed should not move out of that country boundaries. So data residency, when you move in the cloud, it's going to be also critical that each provider has their multiple regions. You select, when you design your enterprise application, you plan out that regions-wise and your architecture that the data residency is, your system is in compliance with all the data policies. And the last but not least was the security, where this is one of the key challenge throughout your implementation, also or maintaining that environments in the cloud. That security you have to be considered. Like recently we have heard about Capital One hack, where someone was able to access S3 data of about almost 100+ million PI data of 103 million people, and that data was accessed through some web application firewall. That server, which should not have access to S3 bucket, but that still got bypassed through that someone had access to web application firewall server, and then they were able to access S3 bucket. So that's, issue when you reach over the cloud providers, you should be thinking about how that authentication or authorization works. When you call from one service to another, how that authorization is gonna, calling that service gonna impact. You should go with the zero trust policies, where when you define your authorization and authentication part of it. And also encryption. You should be thinking about data encryption at the rest, also in the transit. For all these microservices, you should be using the call HTTPS for asynchronous calls. So security is one of the challenge in which you should be, critical part of that. So these are the few challenges which I had throughout my digital transformation journey. It's still going on, and we'll have some more, but this is what I want. Hand it over to Rich. Thanks.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, leverage your, I'm just going to stand up because I usually stand. Leverage your database in the cloud era. Oracle came out with autonomous database to build an autonomous DBA so that no longer Does somebody have to actually manage that? Doesn't have to do the security. It's automatically patched. You don't have to have somebody that didn't patch it. The biggest break-ins that happen are usually unpatched systems. So self-healing, self-driving, tuning, recovering, that's part of it. Is that going to leave us unemployed? How many people are DBAs? Developers? Managers? How'd you get in there? Just kidding. In my opinion, DBAs need to be data administrators. And you heard Danny talk about that earlier. It's the data, not the database as much now. It's all of these pieces. If you know Oracle in this picture, you know 90% of this picture. The other things are very simple compared to Oracle. Oracle takes maybe a decade or two to learn. Hadoop maybe a week or two to learn. So keep that in mind. If you're a DBA now, there's many here, you need to stretch out into these other areas. I think the most important thing to remember is Oracle should, this for managers especially, Oracle should be your security portal to go to the other places. It's the most secure database if used correctly, and then it can securely go to things through external tables to things like Hadoop, Spark, Hive, etc. Oracle chatbots are also going to make the job easier in different places. Robots are going to make the job easier in different places. Some people look at it as a challenge in some ways. I look at it as a benefit. Instead of spending 100% of your time managing a database, all of a sudden you only need to do 30%. Now you could work on things like machine learning. You could work on things like chatbots to assist the process of other people in the business. But it's very complex. AI is not something small. People are always saying, oh, I know AI. Okay, which part? You know, to know all of this, just to let you know, I think maybe 400 years. If you live to be 400, then you could learn all this. But robots are being used now. Oracle's virtual advisor attaches to Pepper the robot, the one in the upper left or lower right, you know, who's seating you at a sushi restaurant in the lower right. Currently, Pepper the robot works with Oracle. If you had more time using an autonomous database, you would have time to leverage robotics or machine learning or some piece of AI that fits your company uniquely. Are you leveraging the database with GPS with robotics like Amazon and UPS? I always thought UPS looks very similar to Amazon's. Leveraging Pepper the robot to seat people at tables. Leveraging it for manufacturing in the lower left. What if, on the lower right, let's see, you want to cut down a tree with a chainsaw? Wouldn't it be nice to just hand it to that guy and let him walk in the forest, and if the tree falls the wrong way, it'll hit him instead of you, right? And you just virtually do it. But we're going to this area of virtual reality when it applies to your business, mixed reality when it applies to your business, especially in manufacturing, and also augmented reality, where we can see things in the side view mirror. There'll be a lot of advertising in augmented reality. We're moving from using digital to wearing digital to implanting digital. Anyone have an Apple Watch? Anyone? Come on. Oh, it's Danny. So this is who's going to test the implant of the Apple Watch. She just doesn't know it. She bought the Apple Watch. She was the wearing digital person. She'll be the implanting digital person. Thank you for doing that for us so that we don't have to, right? But what's happened? We've gone from magical. Remember when the internet was so magical? Wasn't it great? All of a sudden it was manic. Then it was toxic even almost, because people want to check our location and do all these things. I believe that all the current companies, you want to build a company, all you have to do is build what's there now and make it magical again. Take away the toxic, take away the manic, and you will replace the companies that are there right now. I guarantee you. And there's some references, a little bit about me, wrote some books too, and I'll pass it over to Neaton. Do you want to stand or sit?
That's fine. Thanks, Rich. So I see a mixed crowd here. So we have DBAs and the DBA managers. So the way I had laid out my presentation was I wanted to talk about the future of DBA profiles. But after what Danny and Rich have told us, I don't think I have any doubt with regards to what kind of future the DBAs have. So I'm currently leading a team of approximately 500 odd DBAs. And I've got people who have got variety of a range of experience, ranging from, fresh grads to, people who have got 20, 25 plus years of experience. And a very common question which is asked to me is, what is going to be the impact on us, and that is the DBAs in this cloud era? It's a very common question. I'm sure the DBAs who are sitting here may have thought about it, right? But trust me, guys, DBAs are going nowhere. The roles are going nowhere. I can agree with Danny and Rich. The only thing which is going to change is the tag. From DBAs, I think we will turn into data architects, data experts. So what I'm trying to say here is, cloud world can worry the administrators, but it is evolving. If you guys remember when Oracle came out with some of the automation stuff, they started coming out with it. The DBAs were the worried lot, right? If you compare that era, or if you compare that time, I think the situation is the same. So I would say when DBAs could evolve then, DBAs could evolve now as well. So I don't think we have any reason to worry. DBA market is there. The only thing which we really need to concern about is how to know more and how to do more, which means getting out of our mindset of just only managing the databases, right? So we really need to look at how can we expand our horizon, how can we expand our skill sets in order to counter the threat what every person is facing now. So I don't think we really need to be concerned here. I think it's a huge opportunity for the DBA community to grow in different kind of roles. But at the same time, we really need to look or adapt the new tech tools and the technologies. If you have someone, or if you yourself are doing a very specific work which is related to Oracle RDBMS, or maybe a SQL Server, or on a particular kind of technology, I would definitely suggest, and my opinion is, that you really need to branch out. You cannot stay live just knowing only one technology or one RDBMS or one kind of product. You need to know more. So the time is for the DBAs to know more. We need to expand our skill sets. One interesting aspect, which has taken the IT world in a great way is automation, DevOps, virtualization, containerization, Kubernetes, cloud storage. The cloud world is filled with this. I think with all this going around, don't you guys think that, DBAs are needed more than ever? Because in my opinion, DBAs are the guys who know the data the best, right? They know, they're the custodians, they are the sanitaries, right? So they know what can they do with the data. And I think if the managers who are sitting in this room can agree with me, they can actually leverage the database guys in a much more effective way if in my opinion, if they can marry the domain knowledge what DBAs have, and if they can marry it with the industry knowledge which the business can provide it to them. A huge opportunity again. So, like what Danny and Rich mentioned, so multiple systems, multiple technologies. So only thing which we really need to think about is how to branch out. So basically, for me, DBAs are not going anywhere. It's just that the role is getting evolved. So how do we take it to the next step? What should be our next move? At a very high level, I would only say 3 things. And this is specifically for the DBAs. You need to partner with the business more. Time to broaden your skill set. And you need to inculcate the new ways of thinking, which may require, change in your thought process. It has to be retuned. Because the kind of mindset the DBAs have, it has to be retuned or readjusted. So what DBAs really need to do is they really need to forge a deeper partnerships with the business. They now need to be more than what DBAs are. They need to come out of their mindset of database management guys. They need to be database experts. And so, as you can see, cloud is full of data, and business love that data. One hard fact is, apart from what about loving data, is that now businesses know the importance of the data as well. And like I have mentioned earlier, that nobody else knows data best but the DBAs, right? So if business can actually leverage their database administrators in a better way, it's a win-win situation on both sides. Another important aspect is with regards to the changes in enterprise architecture, open source ruling our life now. I think DBAs are, I won't say they command the same respect. I would say it has gone to the developers now. So they are the experts, right? So what do we do in that situation, particularly the DBAs? So it's very important for them to get involved in the development lifecycle. You can't be sitting on the fence, what we used to do earlier, and not get involved. They have to get involved in the entire development lifecycle. And why? Because these guys, I think, have got the skill sets to advise the business that how can they take their applications to the cloud, what kind of provisioning do they need to do, what benefits they can derive out, what would be the impact, et cetera, et cetera. So unless and until these guys are not engaged with the business or in the development process, I think it's going to be a challenge. Also, organizations which are already in the cloud or who are trying to move on to cloud. So I would say database administrators can take a really holistic view. They can become more tactical in advising the business how to go about doing things. But then they really need to know everything what touches the database, whether it's networking, whether it's security. I don't know, but most of the time in most of the organizations whom I have dealt with, there is a clear-cut demarcation of different teams. We have DBAs, we have a network team, we have a security team, right? We have the backup team, we have got the OS level administrators team, right? But I think those boundaries are slowly or will slowly vanish away. So what I'm trying to put across here is, whatever touches database, we really need to ensure that we know everything about it. When I say everything, does not mean everything in detail, but then I think the kind of skills DBAs have, they are the best guys to get into that kind of a role. So infrastructure, designing, the layouts, they are the best guys. They are the best guys to move into the architect kind of a role. Another important aspect, you cannot ignore the certifications. You need to be relevant. You need to stay relevant. So go after the certifications in a big way. Think strategic. Okay, so I may come across like a preacher here, but then these are the hardcore facts. You know, some of the experiences which I have gathered through working with my team. So while you're working on the cloud, you need to know what kind of standards, designs, different type of clouds, different type of databases, because there's a humongous amount of technologies which are available there. So, you know, you are not working only with a particular set of RDBMSs or particular kind of set of databases or particular kind of cloud, right? So in a particular organization, you can have multiple clouds in the enterprise landscape, right? So you need to know everything. So which you know, brings up another challenge with regards to integration. So that is not a strong forte as far as DBAs are concerned, but that is something which they really need to get into. Also, like I said, DBAs cannot work only with one technology or a one product or a one database. Now they have to be platform agnostic. They need to go across. And with the kind of technologies which we have, I don't think any particular enterprise organization will have a very specific technology. They will have a range of technologies to work with, which means DBAs have to come up to the challenge in order to embrace those technologies, and it can only happen when they expand and try to branch out. So if I summarize, we cannot achieve more with less. Job structures are gone, right? So what I'm trying to tell here is we really need to, you know, lift ourselves up, the DBA community. And that is the only survival mantra which we have. If we don't expand ourselves, there is no growth path, right? And like what Rich and Danny mentioned, DBAs will no longer be DBAs. The titles will keep on changing, right? So you need to be database experts. So ideally, database architects. The titles will keep on changing because the traditional way of handling the database management will go away. Or it has already gone away, or it's going away. So that's our hybrid world, and I think we need to welcome it. We really don't have to push it back. We are not strong enough to do that. So we need to welcome it. We really need to embrace it. The only thing is, like I said, we need to change our strategy. We need to change our mindset. We need to broaden our horizon. We need to look beyond doing only one particular thing. Thank you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Raise your hand. Maybe I'll take this out too. Anyone have a question? Question? I'll bring you the mic. Come on. All right, it's Danny Marsh. That's the world famous Danny Marsh, isn't it?
Within Danny Marsh's world, he's famous. My question is for the gentleman to the left. You talked about not getting vendor locked, like specifically on the, so maybe I'm dumb. How do you avoid that at the cloud level, like, you know, Oracle pushing OCI? Like, I just wondered your particular world experience.
So that's what my point was, you know, even though most of the companies are trying to go more and more multi-cloud provider strategy, right? That they want to have, like recently Oracle announced that there was an alliance with Microsoft where they both has a network connectivity between, and so you can have a database, Exadata on your Oracle cloud, OCI, and your application could be in Microsoft, right? And I do see that's gonna be hybrid cloud, gonna be future, because there are certain things which work better, like Oracle works on Oracle better than other cloud providers. But what I was trying to challenge is, once you have that data volume so high, it's difficult to move from one cloud provider to another. Like if you are already in Amazon cloud provider, if you have 1 petabyte database, then moving to Oracle Cloud, you need a bigger strategy because it's gonna be, there is a charges for egress to move out that huge volume from AWS to the Oracle Cloud. At the same time, the data transfer speed, because the law of physics applies to cloud provider also, right? Because it's gonna have your cost and time you have to consider. So like even in earlier days also, we used to see, if someone is migrating from DB2 to Oracle database, that unless until there is no critical business need where you have to move, they always try to avoid that migration. So I see that once you go in a cloud provider and that data volume is high, it will be kind of, even though if you don't want to lock in yourself into one provider, you might get locked unintentionally. I mean, that's what.
Sure. Other questions? That's a good answer. Oracle probably locks you in least of all. You can access Amazon, S3, Microsoft, you name it. Questions, come on. Questions about the cloud and the database world. Okay, well, let's see how many minutes we have. 7 minutes, so we could do final thoughts, maybe across the board. Danny?
No,
So how many of us are running our databases on cloud? So, sir, which cloud are you using?
Predominantly, we're using AWS. In AWS, we're running Postgres, SQL, and SQL Server.
yes.
We also run SQL Server on Azure. And we're getting ready to set up our DR strategy to put DR Oracle in Azure as well.
Okay. So how has been your experience with AWS so far?
We've actually had pretty good response time with AWS. We run a cloud-based API that allows our external customers to actually run stuff against our data in AWS. And we have a requirement to keep all of our query times under 300 milliseconds. And we've been able to do that.
So how involved is your DBA team in doing all this? So from strategizing, I know they could be doing the execution part or maybe the maintenance part, but did you guys involve them starting from the strategy stage?
Yes. I manage the DBA team. I have one full-time DBA and myself. I did the initial setup for several of those. My full-time employee is actually a SQL Server expert. He is floating somewhere around here. I don't think he's in this meeting, but I actually made sure he came here to learn what he can about Oracle. I have an Oracle background plus MySQL, and I've learned Postgres on the side. So I'm actively involved in trying to make sure we set things up correctly. I don't let the network guys do the security for the databases.
There you
I
go.
do that.
There you go. Right. Yeah. So I kind of resonate with what you said, and the point which I was trying to make was the same. So the DBAs need to kind of expand.
Yeah.
They just need to change their thought process. They just need to come out of the database management mold. They need to get into everything now: networking, storage, even the business processes as well. Because unless and until they know what kind of business processes are coming, they would not know how to handle the data, right? How to channel it. Very important.
Maybe final thoughts, 1 minute each. Go through the same order.
Who are using NoSQL databases here? One people, two. Oh,
I do NoSQL with inside Postgres.
okay. A few people here using NoSQL, but with the cloud services, it's not necessary apply patches, configure security, a lot of configuration security. There are some configurations. It's more important is at the reality, the data professional has more time to be together with the business, with the developer team, and because if I think about a few years ago when the DBA needs to configuration to be careful with the security, the users, and the other infrastructure, have a more time. It's a good time to come in to us. A lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunities too.
Definitely. And I can, so I move out from as a DBA to now more on a cloud and DevOps side, and I can, I see lot of good opportunities to branch out in other different areas like Kubernetes, cloud, managing, and it's really, I feel more of enjoying that kind of new work, and at the same time trying to, learn and how this, like doing the 10 releases in a day, it's now a reality, and it's going to happen more and more, right? So that's what the future looks like, and I feel it's going to be interesting future. So I enjoy. Thanks for this opportunity.
I think Neaton made the greatest point of all, which is the data is really valuable. Managers finally realized it. Database administrators are the best people to bring that forward with things like machine learning and leverage things like autonomous database. I mean, what is a DBA? To me, it's problem solver of last resort. Anything anyone else can't figure out, the DBA ends up doing. You want to be in this new era where you leverage things like autonomous database or use Oracle as a portal to other places so that the business can leverage the data that's out there, whether it be big data, whether it be IoT, whether it be leveraging things like machine learning, but it's going to move your visibility and importance up, in my opinion. So that was a great point. I'll give Neaton the final word.
Thanks, Rich. So only point which I would like to make here is if you're a DBA, you need to move up, change your mindset. If you're a manager, please do support your DBAs move up, right? Because they are not going to go anywhere. They are the biggest asset of any organization.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.